Hello you guys, happy book club day. If you were just on here, I popped off really quickly because I just started the video and there was a spider. So I had to go kill the spider. Anyways, typically book club day is on Thursdays, but I don't know about you guys, totally not even understanding or realizing what day of the week it's been. It's been just an interesting lockdown for myself. Last lockdown I was really good with. I felt like it was just it was really great, and this time I'm struggling. I'm probably struggling because I'm doing a lot of self-work, and I know this. Last year I wasn't seeing a therapist. This year I'm seeing a therapist, and I'm really diving deep into a lot of like personal shit. And in order to get through the crap, you got to go through some hard stuff. And I know that, and I know that's a reason why I've been feeling the way I'm feeling. So I'm not here forever. I'm not in this space forever. That's not happening. But I'm here for a moment in this space of where I'm at, which is not a great space, but it's not going to be there forever. I'm not going to be stuck there because I'm doing the work and doing the things I need to do to get out. So anyways, but just so you all know, that's where my mind and my mental health is at right now. It's not at a great space, but we're getting through it. I'm really diving hard into the work for it, and know that this happens for a reason, and there's a purpose behind it, and that the shit and the crap that I'm going through and I'm coming out stronger with, I'm just going to be able to support and help so many other moms through it afterwards. Like, I know this deep down in my heart and my soul. I believe that we go through things for a reason and for a purpose, and we experience things, and we experience hurt and all of that stuff for a reason, for a purpose. And so I know that I'm experiencing this for a reason and for a purpose. So yeah, it's okay to be in these deep, dark places sometimes, because I think that we all experience it, and I think that a lot of us tend to get stuck in it and don't know how to get out. So I'm aware, and I'm so aware, I'm hyper aware, and I know that I'm not going to be stuck here forever. So anyways, that's completely off book topic, but I just had to share that with you. So we are reading chapter 3 of The Whole Brain Child, and I really like this book. Is more about how the brain works, and this is just like, I wish I knew this stuff growing up. In this chapter we talk about like the brain development and how part of the brain is not developed until your mid-20s. Which is crazy, right? Like, how many of you knew that? Probably, maybe all of you knew that, but I didn't know that. And like, it makes so much sense to me, and I wish I would have known that. Growing up, it's like, okay, I'm just not fully developed, and I have so much growth to do, and I almost feel like here I am in my early 30s, and we're still always developing. But anyways, let's get on with this chapter, because I like to honor all y'all time. My kids are somewhere playing right now, between inside and outside, so let's get on with it. So this is chapter 3 of The Whole Brain Child. You can click the link in the description to grab a copy of your own book that helps support myself through Amazon. This is Building the Staircase of the Mind, so integrating the upstairs and downstairs brain. So chapter 2, we talked about like your left and right. This is the up and down. So one of the most important skills we can teach our kids is to make good decisions in high emotion situations. We want them to pause before acting, to consider consequences, to think about the feelings of others, to make ethical and moral judgments. Sometimes they come through with the kind of behavior that makes us proud, and sometimes they don't. What it is that makes our kids choose their actions so wisely is certain moments and so poorly in others. Why do certain situations leave us patting our children on the back and others leave us throwing our hands in the air? Well, there are some pretty good reasons based on what's going on in the higher and lower parts of the child's brain. So, last chapter, like I said, they talked about the two hemispheres, left and right. So now we're talking about top and bottom. So imagine your brain is like a host with both the downstairs and upstairs. The downstairs brain includes the brainstem, the limbic region, which are located in the lower parts of the brain, from the top of your neck to about the bridge of your nose. Scientists talk about the lower areas being more primitive because they're responsible for basic functions like breathing, blinking, intimate reactions and impulses like your fight or flight, the strong emotions like anger and fear. Whenever your instincts flinch because of a little league foul ball flies into the stands, your downstairs brain is doing its job. The same goes for when your face goes red with fury because after 20 minutes of convincing your kindergarten that the dentist office won't be scary, the dental assistant enters the room and announces in front of your daughter, "We'll need to give her a shot to numb her." Your anger, along with other strong emotions and bodily functions, spring into your downstairs brain. It's like the first floor of the house where so many of the family's basic needs are met. There, you'll almost always find a kitchen, dining room, bathroom, and so on. Basic necessities get taken care of downstairs. Your upstairs brain is completely different. It's made up of the cerebral cortex and its various parts, particularly the one directly behind your forehead, including what's called the middle prefrontal cortex. And like your basic downstairs brain, the upstairs brain is more evolved and can give you a fuller perspective on your world. You might imagine it as a light-filled second-story study or library with windows and skylights that allow you to see things more clearly. And I feel like my upstairs brain is really it wasn't developed before, and it's developing lately. And I think that's part of what I'm personally struggling with. There's more intricate mental process that's taking place, like thinking, imagining, and planning, whereas the downstairs brain is primitive, the upstairs brain is highly sophisticated, controlling some of the most important higher order and analytical thinking. Because of its sophistication and complexity, it is responsible for producing many of the characteristics we hope to see in our kids, like sound decision-making, planning, control over emotions and body, self-understanding, empathy. A child whose upstairs brain is properly functioning will demonstrate some of the most important characteristics of a mature and healthy human being. We're not saying they'll be superhuman, but when their brain is working well, they can regulate their emotions, consider consequences, think before acting, and consider how others feel, which is going to help them thrive in different areas of their life. So the unfinished upstairs, setting your appropriate expectation for your kids, because the upstairs brain is actually not fully developed until your mid-20s. So even though we want to help build the staircase for our child's brain or our own brain, really, there are two important reasons to maintain realistic expectations when it comes to integration. The first is developmental. While the downstairs brain is well developed, even at birth, the upstairs brain isn't fully mature until a person reaches their mid-20s. In fact, it's one of the last parts of the brain to develop. The upstairs brain remains under massive construction for the first few years of life. Then during the teen years, they undergo an extensive remodel that lasts into adulthood. And if you're if you're a mom in your 20s, in your late 20s, even early 30s, I feel this for me. I feel like my mind is going through this extensive remodel, that it is still under super development and awareness and all kinds of things. So I see this true for myself completely. This is really important information for parents to understand because it means that all the abilities on the list above, the behavior, the skills we want to expect our kids to demonstrate, like sound decision making, control of their emotions and bodies, empathy, self-understanding, are dependent on the part of their brain that's not fully developed, right? So like I said, that part of the brain isn't fully developed until mid-20s. That's what they say. And since that part of the brain is under construction, it isn't capable of fully functioning all the time, meaning that it can't be integrated with the downstairs brain and constantly work at its best. As a result, kids are prone to getting trapped downstairs without the use of their upstairs brain, which results in them flying off the handle, making poor decisions, and showing a general lack of empathy and self-understanding. Sorry, the flies. Our amygdala is about the size of the shape of an almond and is part of the limbic area, which resides in the downstairs brain. Its job is to quickly process and express emotions, especially anger and fear. This little mass of gray matter is the watchdog of the brain, remaining always alert for times we might be threatened. When it does sense danger, it can completely take over or hijack the upstairs brain. That's what allows us to act before we think. It's part of the brain that instructs your arm to reach out to protect your passenger when you're driving and have to stop really quickly. But acting or reaching before we think isn't usually so good in normal everyday situations. Like when we storm from our car and yell at other parents for breaking the no waiting rule in the carpool pickup line, flipping a lid. So that's what they consider it. It's called like flipping the lid. And it's how the amygdala can get us into trouble. It takes over and relieves the upstairs brain from its duties. When we're not truly in danger, we want to think before acting instead of the other way around. We want our kids to do the same. The problem, though, is that especially in children, the amygdala frequently fires up and blocks the stairway connecting the upstairs and downstairs brain. It's as if a baby gate has been latched at the bottom of the stairs, making the upstairs brain inaccessible. This, of course, further compounds the other problem we just discussed. Not only is the upstairs brain under construction, but even the part of it that can function becomes inaccessible during moments of high emotion or stress. Interesting, right? So how do we help that? It comes up. So when your 3-year-old erupts in anger because there's no orange popsicles left in the freezer, his downstairs brain, including the brainstem and amygdala, has sprung into action and latched that baby gate. The primitive part of the brain has received an intense surge of energy, leaving him literally unable to act calmly and reasonably. Massive brain resources have rushed to his downstairs brain, leaving little to power his upstairs brain. As a result, no matter how many times you tell them that they have plenty of purple popsicles, which they liked better anyways, they're probably not going to listen to reason in the moment. They're most likely going to throw or yell or hurt somebody nearby, right? As you know, if you found yourself in this situation, the best way to help them through the crisis is to soothe them and help them shift the attention. You might pick them up and show them something else of interest in another room, or you might do something silly or off the wall. We learned a lot of different ways and resources in the last book that we read. So I encourage you, if you haven't read that, definitely read it, because there's a lot of really great ways to help that, or listen to the videos, right? So when you do things like this, you're helping him unlatch that gate. So when you're utilizing your different resources of techniques, you're helping to unlatch that brain so that the stairway can be opened and the integration can happen, and they can engage that upstairs brain, right? In this situation, there would again be different possible strategies for clearing the pathway, but read. There's so many books and there's so many strategies out there. So you could acknowledge and discuss the fears. You could like calmly speak. There's just so many things that you can do to help calm kind of that downstairs brain. Okay, so tantrums, upstairs and downstairs brain. Most parents have been taught that there's only one good way. And like I said before, I'm not reading the whole chapter to you guys. That way you can kind of read what you feel is important to you by grabbing the book. I just hit the things that I feel is important. So most parents have been taught that there's only one good way to respond to a tantrum. Ignore it. Otherwise, you communicate to your child that they have a powerful weapon to wield against you and that they will wield it over and over again. But what does this new knowledge about the brain say about tantrums, right? Are they having a downstairs brain tantrum or an upstairs brain tantrum? When you know the difference between the upstairs and downstairs brain, you can also see that there are really two different types of tantrums out there. An upstairs brain tantrum occurs when a child essentially decides to throw a fit. They make the conscious choice to act out, to push buttons, to terrorize until they get what they want. They're able to control their emotions, be logical, and make good decisions with this. So this is one that you have to recognize, right, as an upstairs brain tantrum. You can clearly see what the child is doing in this situation, that they're definitely working from strategy or manipulation to achieve a desired end goal, right? And we need to, as parents, recognize this. And I think this book is fantastic to be able to determine what is happening, right? And not negotiate with them, right? It says never negotiate with a terrorist. An upstairs tantrum calls for firm boundaries and clear discussion about appropriate and inappropriate behavior. And again, the book that we had first read, our first book there, had so many amazing things about the behavior and all that kind of stuff. A downstairs tantrum is completely different. Here, a child may become so upset that they're no longer able to use their upstairs brain. They become so angry that you poured water on their head to wash their bodies. They're trying to hit you. In this case, the lower parts of the brain, in particular the amygdala, takes over and hijacks the upstairs part. They're not even close to being in a state of integration. In fact, the stress hormones are flooding the body that mean that they have virtually no part of the higher brain functioning. As a result, they're literally incapable, at least for a moment, to control their body or emotions. And using all of their higher order thinking skills, like considering consequences, solving problems or feelings, is just gone, right? The baby gate is blocked. When your child is in the state of disintegration and full downstairs blown tantrums, it's a completely different parental response that needs to be done here. So completely different. And this is where you can comfort, nurture, connect and redirect is what we learned in chapter 2. So using the connect and redirect technique. So connecting with the child, help calm them. This can often be accomplished by loving touch, soothing words and tones and voice, and removing from the scene, right? If it's becoming destructive, removing the child from the scene. Once the upstairs brain re-enters the picture, you can actually then begin to respond with the logical and reasoning, right? So then you connect and then you can redirect and you can respond. Go through here. So the upstairs brain is like a muscle. When it gets used, it develops, it gets stronger and performs better. And when it gets ignored, it doesn't develop optimally, losing some of its power and ability to function. That's what we mean by use it or lose it. We want it to be intentional about developing the upstairs brain of our child. Our job is to provide our kids with opportunity after opportunity to exercise their upstairs brain so that it can grow stronger and more powerful. As you and your child go through your day, watch for ways you can focus on exercise exercising different functions of the upstairs brain. So we're going to look at a few of them. Sound decision making. One parental temptation is to make decisions for our kids. So it's really good to allow them to make decisions. And we learned this in our last book as well. So doing things like, do you want to wear your blue shirt or your pink shirt today? Do you want, would you like peanut butter or butter on your toast, right? Allowing them to make those little decisions. There's another example in here. For instance, a 10-year-old girl had a schedule conflict, Girl Scouts and soccer, and her mom encouraged her to make a choice. So that allows her to be more comfortable, if not completely happy, about giving up one commitment, right? So you have two things happening today. Make the choice of what you want to do. The point is to let your child wrestle with the decision and live with the consequence. Whenever you can do so responsibly, avoid solving and resist rescuing, even when they make minor mistakes or not so great choices. After all, your goal here isn't perfection or even decision on every decision right now, but ultimately develop the upstairs brain for down the road. Controlling emotions in the body. Another important and difficult task for littles is to remain in control of themselves. So we need to give them skills that help them make good decisions when they're upset. Teach them to take a deep breath and count to 10. Help them express their feelings. Let them stomp their feet or punch a pillow. You can also teach them what's happening in their brains when they're feeling themselves losing control and how to avoid flipping their lid. So those are things that we personally do in our home as well, the breathing, doing different exercises like that to control their emotions. Punching a pillow, that's a safe place. Sometimes you feel that emotion in your body and you need to release it, and punching a pillow is fine, right? They're not hurting anybody with that. They're allowing that emotion get out, stomp their feet, just letting them express their emotion, right? Don't let them bottle it up, because when they bottle it up, that's when the issues happen, and that's when people can seriously get hurt. Self-understanding. One of the best ways to foster self-understanding in your child is to ask questions that help them look beyond the surface of what they understand. Why do you think you made that choice? What made you feel that way? Why do you think you don't do well on your test? Why do you think you didn't do well on your test? Was it because you were hurrying, or was it just difficult material, right? So asking questions like that. Empathy. Empathy is another important function of the upstairs brain. When you ask simple questions that encourage the consideration of another's feelings, you are building your child's ability to feel empathy. So simply by drawing your child's attention to other people's emotions during everyday encounters, you can open up a whole new level of compassion with them and exercise their upstairs brain. The more you give your child's upstairs brain practice at thinking of others, the more capable they will be at having compassion. Morality. So when kids make sound decisions while controlling themselves and working for empathy and self-understanding, they will develop a robust and active sense of morality. A sense of not only right and wrong, but also what is for the greater good beyond their own individual needs. Another way to exercise this part of the brain is to offer hypothetical situations, which kids often love. Would it be okay to run a red light if there was an emergency? If a bully was picking on someone at school and there were no adults around, what would you do? And the point here is to challenge your child to think about how they can act or how they would act, and to consider the implications of their decisions. In doing so, you give your kids practice thinking through moral and ethical principles, which, with your guidance, will become the foundation of the way they make decisions for the rest of their lives. The move it or lose it, moving the body to avoid losing the mind. Research has shown that bodily movement directly affects brain chemistry. So when one of your children has lost touch with the upstairs brain, a powerful way to help them regain balance is to have them move their body. So exercising, getting out there, running around, playing, just moving. Studies support, research shows that when we change our physical state through movement or relaxation, for example, we can change our emotional state. Try smiling for a minute, right? It can make you feel happier, quick, Shallow breaths accompany anxiety, and if you take a slow, deep breath, you'll likely feel calmer. You can try these little exercises with your child to teach her or him how their body affects how they feel. The body is full of information that sends it to the brain. In fact, a lot of emotions we feel actually begin in the body. Our churning stomach and tense shoulders send physical messages of anxiety to the brain before we even consciously realize that we're nervous. The flow of energy and information from the body up into our brainstem, into our limbic region, and then up into the cortex changes our bodily state, our emotional state, and our thoughts. The next time your children need help calming down or regaining control, look for ways to get them moving. And then a nice little thing I like about this book is that with the chapters, they have like the whole brain kids, and it's kind of a little story that you can actually read to your kids, just like this. You can see it. And it kind of helps them maybe understand a little bit about the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain. So those are in the chapters as well. Integrating ourselves using our own mental staircase. So this is the end of the chapter here. And it's just kind of like a little review. My young son was screaming for 45 minutes and I didn't know how to comfort him. I finally screamed back. Sometimes I hate you. My son was 2 and scratched his baby brother's face so hard that he left marks. I spanked his bottom like 5 hard swats. Then I left the room, walked down the hall, turned back around and spanked him probably 5 more swats again. I screamed at him so loud, I terrified him. After I had told my daughter to watch out for her little brother running in front of the swing, she almost swung right into him. I was so mad that even in front of other people at the park, I yelled, "What is wrong with you? Are you stupid?" These are some pretty awful parenting experiences, aren't they? And maybe you've personally experienced them yourself, right? I know I've been in some of those spaces before. They represent our downstairs moments. The times when we're so out of control that we say or do something we never let anyone else say or do to our child. Has your downstairs brain taken control sometimes? My downstairs brain has 100%, and it's a reason why, because my upstairs brain realized it at one point, and I was like, okay, something needs to change, and that's where a big part of this group actually came about, right? The confessions above come from real parents whom we know personally, and although it may surprise you, each of those parents does a great job at raising their kids. But like the rest of us, they just lose it from time to time and say and do things they wish they hadn't. Could you add your own little downstairs moment to the list above? Of course you could. You're a parent and you're human. We see it time and time again when we speak to the Council of Parents. In high-stress parenting situations, parents make mistakes. All of us do. But don't forget, parenting crises are openings for growth and integration, right? Like if I hadn't screamed at my daughter, and yelled at her, and her saying like, I hate you when you yell at me, and all that kind of stuff, would I have known to grow? Probably not, right? Would I have known to start picking up these books? Probably not. So we go through all these experiences for a reason, you guys. You can use the moments when you feel yourself losing control as opportunities to model self-regulation. Little eyes are watching to see how you calm yourself down. Your actions set an example of how to make a good choice in a high emotion moment when you're in danger or flipping your lid. So what do you do when you recognize that your downstairs brain has taken over and you've begun to lose your mind? First, do no harm. Close your mouth to avoid saying something you'll regret. Put your hands behind your back to avoid any kind of physical contact. When you're in a downstairs moment, protect your child at all cost. Second, remove yourself from the situation and collect yourself. There's nothing wrong with taking a breather, especially when it means protecting your child. You can tell her you need a break to calm down so they don't feel rejected. Then, although it might feel a bit silly at times, try out the move it or lose it technique. Do jumping jacks. Try some yoga stretches. Take slow, deep breaths. Do whatever it takes to regain some of your control you lost when your amygdala hijacked your upstairs brain. You'll not only move into a more integrated state yourself, but also model for your kids some quick self-regulation tricks they can use as well. Finally, repair. Quickly reconnect with your child as soon as you are calm and feeling more in control of yourself. Then deal with whatever emotion and relational harm has been done. This may involve your expressing forgiveness, but it may also require that you apologize and accept responsibility for your own actions. This step needs to occur as quickly as possible. The sooner you repair the connection between yourself and your child, the sooner you can both regain your emotional balance and get back to enjoying your relationship together. And that's really important, you guys. Shit happens. Things happen. And it can be hard at times. It can be so freaking hard at times where we lose our cool and our amygdala hijacks our brain and whatever you want to call it. Like, it happens. But the important thing is to step up, apologize, and acknowledge that what had happened wasn't okay. Because screaming at our kids and being physical with our kids, with anyone really, is not okay. And so if we understand that and recognize it, and then regain that control and repair as quickly as you can, apologizing is such a key thing to teach to our kids, to apologize, right? When something has happened in the wrong. Okay. Anyway, so here's chapter 3 for you. I hope you have the best day today. If you have any questions or just at all want to chat about anything, please send me a message. Know that there's so much support out there for you. Feel free to post in this group for support, because I feel like this is a really safe place to do that. And I know the people in here are the most caring, open-armed people that will talk you through or walk you through anything, and don't feel like you can't utilize this group for that. So anyways, I hope you have the best day. See you.